Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, has warned those behind the planned nationwide protest to be very careful because he may not predict what could be the end of such action. Recall that Mr. Onanuga had accused supporters of the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 elections, Mr. Peter Obi, of being behind the planned protest. Although he acknowledged the fact that it is the right of people to protest in a democracy, those behind it should be careful so that it will not be hijacked by people who will use the opportunity to cause problems. Explaining more on his post on his X handle when he accused Peter Obi supporters of the planned protest, he told correspondents on the phone, "My post is just to highlight that the people who are organizing this so-called nationwide protest are members of Labour Party. They are Peter Obi's supporters. So that's my own take of it. It's my opinion, so I'm not going to say more than this." So nobody is saying you must not protest. Protest is legitimate in the democracy. The concern of the people is that when you start a protest and it is not well managed, the end cannot be predicted, just like people could not predict the end of NSAS. So that's just the concern of people. And again, when you are saying revolution now, do they know the meaning of revolution now? Revolution means you are calling for a coup d'etat. That's the meaning of it, and that's the point that I'm making. Nothing more than that. So anybody can protest. It's within their rights to protest. Nobody says you should not protest. Further asked if he has any evidence to prove that it's supporters of Peter Obi that are planning the protest, he said, "Check their handles and see what they are posting. Just follow what they have been posting. What I did was to do content analysis of these people that are posting as a journalist." Let me ask you, Mr. George, what do you think is the implication of this statement by Bayo, the presidential spokesperson?
I want to align with the man to an extent, not by accusing the obedience of the mastermind or the planners of the protest. I want to dissociate, from that.
Okay.
But on the issue of the protest, that we do not know the outcome, what it will lead to, I agree with that. Criminals will always take advantage of some of all these things. And because you do not have the wherewithal, you do not have the security, connect to stop these criminals, something you feel that is, you think that is just normal protest, which is their legitimate right to do, people will take advantage of it. I'm not against protesting, but would you be able to hold these people accountable? Because by the time it starts, by the time they keep raging, people will even deviate from the normal route to other things and take advantage of that to perpetrate evil. So if they cannot, manage that, then the state will definitely breach heavily on them. And by then it becomes bloody.
All right. Zoe, what is your take?
Well, quickly, I want to say that they should just let Peter Obi be. Because if you observe the trend of the government since they came into power, they've been looking for a way to indict this man, to arrest him. And that's what this kind of statement is tilting to. Peter Obi should, in fact, be given an award after the 2023 presidential election for being democratic in his approach. He has been democratic in his words and his actions. Now, granted, he has supporters who go the extra mile, who go out of the box to create some issues. But Peter Obi as a person, even though I'm not his supporter or follower, I have applauded his approach to the politics. He has been able to tolerate, he has been able to, imbibe democratic culture in his approach to the politics of the day. Now, having said that, the spokesperson also mentioned, define, what do you call it? Revolution.
Revolution.
Yes, as a coup d'etat taking over power. He should do more of his research. Revolution goes beyond what he's thinking.
Right.
And again, if we are even, granted, let's go by his words. There is a common saying that if you allow peaceful change impossible, you're going to make violent change inevitable. That is where we are as a nation. Because look at it. They will always use the issue of criminals will overtake it, criminals will, infiltrate and do. That is the excuse they give. But will you allow, take for example in South Africa, the government of the day allowed revolution in the last election, a peaceful revolution. The people of South Africa said, look, we are fed up with what you're doing, the ANC. And they expressed, they went on revolution through the ballot box and they expressed their desires. And you saw how it turned the democratic process in South Africa to the extent that the ANC, after 30 years, could not form government. To the extent that they have to, form an alliance with a party that they totally disagree in ideology. That is how democratic process is supposed to go. But in a country where the democratic process is being stifled by few individuals, where elections are being rigged to impose people in power, and then when those people come into power, they impose policies that brings hardship on the people, where you have a liter of fuel for 810 naira this morning, where you have transport has skyrocketed from where you pay 200 naira, you pay 400, 600 naira now. Almost everything in the a cup of beans, a tomato, that small tomato cup of beans, as of last Friday in the market, is 500 naira. And you are telling people not to protest? That is just, look, he should, thank God he said he's a researcher, he did his analysis. He should also do his analysis on how the Nigerian people are faring. This is not about emotion. These are the realities on ground. And you can't stop people from protesting if that is the route they need to get the government attention. And you cannot reduce a nationwide protest to one single individual who is doing his own thing. That is quite unfair. But protests, they will see if they don't help to turn things around in this country.
Now, he raised concerns about people hijacking the protest, and he made reference to NSAS.
In fact, it is even the government people that usually, we have been on the street, we know how this thing works. It is the government people who usually hijack the protest. They will bring in their people and try to create a situation where they will say, hoodlums and criminals, and then they bring in their military, but they are just creating a situation they cannot handle. They should not forget NSAS.
I want to say something. It is not enough for the government to begin to dissuade people from legitimately protesting. In as much as I agree that criminals can infiltrate, whether sponsored by the government or not, there are people just hanging, waiting for opportunity to pounce, whether sponsored or not. The government should realize, like my brother said, things are so difficult for everybody, including them that is the government. They should look for policies that will ameliorate the sufferings of the people, that will douse some of all these things. Discuss with, even those who are planning this protest, if organized body like NS, what are the challenges? If it is the issue of minimum wage, can we increase this based on this? There are some discussions that you put in place. There are some policies you will announce. People will say, okay, there is genuineness in what we are doing. Let's give them, that benefit of the doubt. I'm talking about from the government, not just by sitting back and say people should not protest. People will definitely protest, and criminals will take advantage, and the government.
So why not you avoid it? So why not you avoid it?
So what I'm saying is the government should not just sit back in their high horse and feel that everything is okay. Address the issue. Address the issue. What are their demands? Because before now they would have been making some demand. Bad governance, this, that. In what area? How do we strengthen this and that? Talk to the people. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't want Nigeria to go the way of Kenya. I would not want that. We all love peace. I don't want it.
All right. P2B Media Reach has cried out over what it described as wild, wicked, and baseless allegations. But why not one of the spokespersons in the presidency, Bayo Onanuga, accusing the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 elections, P2B, of being the mastermind of a planned protest in the country. Onanuga, in a statement, said Obi should be held responsible for any mayhem that may occur in the protest. But in a statement signed by Yunusa Tanko, P2B Media Reach spokesman, the group said it can report from good and reliable authority that the unsubstantiated allegations are being orchestrated to arrest Obi, limit his freedom, and stop his propagation for good governance. The group said that P2B, by his mien in and out of political office, has not in any way shown or been associated with violence, even in the face of the most obvious provocations. Zoe, What is your take on this?
It's just what I've said.
Yes, that was what I wanted. Because now they are saying that the government is trying to frame P2B. Now, recently, you will remember the issue of the senator that was removed as the chief whip, Alindume,
Yes.
for coming out to criticize the presidency. If you recall, P2B has been very vocal in not just critiquing, but also proffering solutions. He has played a very vital role, an advisory role when it comes to government policies that he doesn't agree with. He will state his reasons for not agreeing with those policies, and he will also profile solutions that he feels may work if, implemented. But then, is this painting the government as if the government cannot stand criticism?
Of course, you can see, even in their own house, they could not accept dissenting voice like they did with Alain Dume. Even in within their cycle, not to talk of an external. But like I said, we must give P2B credit. All that you have said about him, even though I am not in support of P2B, because as far as I'm concerned, everyone who have been in political office one way or the other since 1999 till the last election is part and parcel of what we are going through. No person can tell me to exonerate any person. However, P2B have stand out in his democratic process. His utterances, his body language, the way he critique government. Like you said, he comes up with a critique and then profile solution. I think the government, if they are smart and want to be fair to all, they should give P2B an award for the way he has conducted himself democratically, rather than calling him names. Like I said before, you even read this reaction from his camp. They are doing, from what I saw, what the government are doing is to reduce the public appearance of P2B, maybe restrict him one way or the other to paint him bad. But there's one thing you need to know. Somebody, once people have accepted somebody in their hearts, not in their brain or what they can get, once people have accepted somebody in their heart, there is little you can do to change their mind, like what is happening to Donald Trump in the US. So P2B have been accepted by those obedient people in their heart. So whatever way they want to paint P2B, it will not work as far as those people are concerned. Right. And to reduce a nationwide strike that is being warranted by government action, by government unleashing hardship on the people of Nigeria. Now, look at the labor. Labor is asking for, see, there are so many opportunities open for the government to reduce, to prevent this nationwide strike. Like my colleague here said, the issue of labor. Labor have been asking for increment you are increasing everything in the market except the workers' pay. Who does that? How can the people survive? So they have the route of negotiating with the labor. Of course, the protests, they have a demand about 15-point agenda. One of it is minimum wage of 250,000. That even is not realistic. See, we move from 140 naira.
Approved 70,000.
It doesn't make sense. We move from 145 naira a liter of fuel to 810 naira. How can you resolve that?
830 naira.
830 naira. How can you resolve that? And it's now cut across. The repercussion, the implication is that it now skyrocketed the price of things. A seed of tomato, just a seed of tomato, is 250 naira in the market. An egg for 50 naira is now about 200, 300 naira in the market. And you're telling somebody to take 70,000 naira home. Will that be enough for his transport for the month to go to work? So these are the issues. They should leave P2B alone and face the government they impose themselves on Nigerian people and govern the people. If they don't do that, the people will come for their government. They can't stop it. It's going, it's everywhere around the world, even in Europe. It's everywhere. People are beginning to be conscious enough to rise and ask questions from their government, demand accountability from their government. That is where we are. It's not about P2B. They have already started. This is how they do. The next thing they say, oh, so criminals have taken up. This is how they do. The protests have not started. They're already implicating P2B. Please leave P2B alone and face your government.
All right. What do you have to say to this, George?
Well, it's quite shocking, that the presidential spokesman will begin at this. Would I say that he's
Preempting.
Into making some kind of statement that will lead to, that will connect him with
To his arrest, yes.
Because I see no reason why someone who has been on his own, if I am a leader and people you call my supporters, not as if you have any registered or signed document to show that they're supporting me, are doing their things, you want to rope me in, how? So I feel that this is just a preemptive statement that will, trigger P2B, that may trigger P2B to make a statement, an inciting one, and before they link him up. But beyond that, I have said it here. One of the best ways that the government can use to resolving this matter, most Nigerians like their life. Attend to the issues. Government may not have all the money to pay the minimum wage of 250,000.
But be realistic.
You can increase this thing to say, like,
but be realistic.
That they said, okay, 70 for now, that we can review in 3 years' time. These are propositions.
Be realistic.
We discuss this matter. And you see that Nigerians ordinarily like, to enjoy their life. How many Nigerians will want to come out on the rain and the sun to protest against what? But people are hungry. People are dying on a daily basis. People are dying. Things are so tough. The major challenge that the government had was the removal of fuel subsidy without making provision for provision, for it. You can't remove fuel subsidy that everything is tied down to that. Transportation from one point to another is tied to that. People fueling their cars is tied to that. People fueling their generator
because there is no NEPA lights.
Even the basic things that you see that people keep asking, how does this connect to fuel subsidy? I said they pay transport to move this thing from their farm to this place. So they will also factor in that money.
Transportation.
And once they factor in that money,
the prices
will increase. And wages has remained constant. So what do you expect? So it's quite tough. The government should understand. Fix the refinery as quick as possible. Even if you're not producing to export to other countries, fix the one that we can use, can consume locally here. It will, drop down the price of fuel. And once that happens, you see that prices will normalize. Some persons are in this world, they are not, they are not moved by sexist materialism. They don't want to own skyscrapers.
Just survive. Just to survive. Nigerians just want to survive.
Now, if I may ask, would you say from the statements of the state actors now, let me not just limit it to the presidency or the president as it were, but let's look at the actions and the utterances of the state actors so far. Let's start with the Senate President, Akpabio. You recall recently in the last plenary they had, Senator Kingibe of the FCT moved the motion, and her prayer was that the market that was burnt down, that it be rebuilt, that the government should rebuild it and subsidize it for the people who were affected. And Senator Akpabio in response asked that, made the rubbish of that prayer. And his reason was that, are they expecting the government to build structures like that and then not get anything in return and all of that? And he said that for him, it's not that prayer. It's not well put. It's not in order. It's not in line. And another female senator stood up and seconded the motion, the prayer of Senator Kingibe, and she said that the money you're talking about, when she was addressing Senator Akpabio, she said the money you're talking about is the people's money. It is the taxpayers' money. The government, the money the government is earning is the money from the people. So why can't the government use the money, people's money, to build something for the benefits of the same people? I mean, you're giving their money back to them for their own benefits. And after she said that, she said, I'm seconding that motion, right? Now, the question would be, the politicians in question, these state actors, from their body language, from their utterances, are they even helping the situation? That would be the question. Are they even making moves or saying things that would douse the anger of the people? Let's periscope the Senate you know. They receive constituency allowance. If you recall, Senator Nengi's issue with regards to the budget pardon opened a lot of things. You recall Senator, the Senate representing, I think, Delta State, came out to say, Ned Nwoko came out to say that he receives over ₦1 billion in constituency projects. Some receive 500 million. As the case may be, he defended his own, that is because he's a ranking senator. Now, these people are getting hundreds of millions in constituency projects. No form of accountability. Why people are pressuring the presidency? Why are people not pressuring the Senate? What are they doing with monies entrusted to them to trickle down to their constituencies?
I think it is the responsibility of the government, the presidency, based on the system of government we operate, to checkmate some of all these things. Because the presidency is the one that implements through all these anti-graft agencies. They will direct them on what to do. So if you are giving constituency project to Senator A or House of Rep member A, and the person has failed to deliver that project, pocketed that money, it is the presidency to know that this project did not go and call. In fact, the FCC, as part of the presidency, is supposed to move to know those who have executed or not, and bring them to book. Well, please, let me go back to what you were saying about the senator representing Abuja, Senator
Kingibe, yes.
And
the statement of Babi.
Let's situate this thing properly. Is she asking the Senate to rebuild or the federal government to rebuild?
The federal government.
We are talking about market here. Building of market is the responsibility of the local government. All these things are situated. You're asking federal government to come and build markets. It is not within their their responsibility to do that. It is that of the local government. In Abuja, they have area councils. So if a market is burnt, one of the area councils where this thing happens should be able to rebuild those markets. Or maybe the FCT minister can do that. Not for the federal government to come and rebuild markets.
The question would be, Kingibe herself has constituency project allocated to her, doesn't she?
Maybe maybe the constituency project is not about rebuilding the market.
Maybe the market doesn't fall into
yes, that one. The market is the responsibility of local government. We have what they call it, the exclusive list, the concurrent list, and the residual list. Residual is for the local government. Concurrent is for both state and the federal government, and exclusive is just for the federal government. Building of market is the residual is for the local government. So if your call except is a special intervention from the federal government, given the fact that where this thing happen could be in Abuja, please, maybe the local council area do not have the wherewithal, the funding for now. Abuja is not a state. Maybe the minister has not seen it, deemed it necessary to do. Please, federal government intervene to help, because she's like the mouthpiece of the people which she's representing. So she's in the opportunity to call the Senate. Maybe that could be the reason why
Akpabio did not fault her based on that. Akpabio faulted her prayer in the sense that he said, why would the government build and subsidize? Like, should the government be doing free things for people? That's the angle I am coming from. The statement of Akpabio, right? Even though probably, like you said, it should fall under the local government councils, as it were. But the statement of the Senate president, who you would expect is also representing a constituency and should feel the pain of the people. You would wonder, should the Senate president be making statements like that at this point in time?
I copy what you're saying, and that is one angle that some of our leaders are not doing well. They are not showing responsibility. Even though you're doing what you're doing, you should understand what the people are passing through and show that compassion. Because that you are privileged to be who you are today does not mean that you couldn't have been in this other side. And if you have been in this other side and suffering what the people are suffering, you would have understood better. So some of them are on their high horses. They are no longer seeing what is happening, at the lower level. That is why they make such kind of utterances. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and I keep praying every day that Nigeria should not go the way of the Arab Spring. Because if anything happened to this country...
Are you praying for that?
No, I'm not praying that Nigeria should go that way. I'm praying that everything should be resolved amicably. Because if anything happened to Nigeria, even West Africa will not be able to contain. People will definitely move to survive. And imagine like 20 millions of Nigeria, entering Ghana. That government will collapse.
Right.
No government, no country within the West African region that has the capacity to contain what will happen from there. So I keep praying. The leaders should be responsible. They should be alive to their responsibility and ensure that things are put the way they should be so that Nigeria will move forward.
All right, Zoe.
Okay, what took us to this level is the P2B accusation. Yes. I want to also add to the spokesperson to the president that he should also analyze the constitution and know that P2B is a citizen of Nigeria. And by virtue of that, he has rights to expression, and also a presidential candidate of a political party, which automatically gives him the opportunity to be an opposition, to play the opposition role, which he is doing. So you should also note that. Then coming to Akpabio, it's unfortunate. I don't like talking about the person, with due respect, as the Senate president. But I want to say that Akpabio, to some extent, has disappointed Nigerians. As far as he is concerned, I think he is there just to serve the interests of the president. Akpabio cannot, what she's demanding, in my understanding, is an intervention. Yes, local government, market fall under the purview of local government, but there is a crisis. Probably the council cannot handle at that material time. Nothing stops the federal government, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, which is managed, they don't have a governor, which is managed by the federal government by itself. So there can be an intervention. And she went on to add that it can be subsidized, which means the government can build it and reduce it, and then the people can, Akpabio is good. Okay, he cannot spend government money in building a bond market to help the citizens, but he can send prayers to senators' emails. That is the situation we are. This is why, my brother, I'm sorry I'm not joining you in that prayer that we shouldn't go that path. That is the only path. See, our Nigerian leaders, they don't care. Do you know how many people in your neighborhood, you agree with me, how many people that comes to you for just food to eat in their houses? You see many of the children now on the streets. Just last week alone, I accosted 3 children. Why are you not in school? We are writing junior WAEC. My parents cannot pay for it. And they're on the streets. And these people are living in affluence. Their children are outside this country. My brother, let's not pray that prayer. I don't pray God should answer that prayer. We should take our destiny in our hands. And that's why every Nigerian must come out in this protest. We're not calling for violence, but we are calling for a peaceful protest to engage our government, to listen to our demands.
All right.
That is what we are calling for. So it's unfortunate. The Senate president will continue to play that role of just serving the interests of the president rather than the people. By virtue of becoming the Senate president, the entire Nigeria is now his constituency. So whatever happens in any constituency should be his concern. And if that woman could bring such a problem to his notice, he should have used wisdom. Even if it is not the responsibility of the federal government, he should have used wisdom rather than to make the people that suffer that thing to feel that their government is not responsible to their interests.